teams.
Absolutely, and there's a couple of teams looking in that direction right now. United, yeah, not, they have a chance, but they would have to, I think, almost win to be able to qualify. My math is not that solid, so I won't put you on the spot, but looking at the plane path, oh baby, all the way south and very far to the east, as this is now a question of what is the circle going to do?
Georgia, come on, give it to me.
North Georgia Circle.
Just go ahead and give it to me. Everybody knows the fact that I like to see these players.
This could be, I'm going to guess a military circle. When was the last time we saw one? It's been a long time.
Or last week.
Today was the first game.
Kind of, yeah.
Another military circle. Back to back would be kind of rough,
yeah.
but it could also be just a general center circle where, we just have
boring.
Yeah, boring center
Give
circle.
me more
Chaos
colorful
only.
circles than that. I always like, because I always want to see the best of the best players and how they handle bad situations. That's really the deciding factor for me, is whenever you can see a team that can handle whenever their backs are up into the wall, things aren't going in their favor, and still perform. That's whenever you get those standout moments, and that's what I love to see.
Well, in Balefrost's case, doesn't have a lot of experience. So the last thing that happened to him that was awful is when his allowance got cut off.
I make that joke back over towards him and not towards Vegas. I see how it is. But I have Balefrost and Vegas both pretty young, finally getting to that age where they can compete inside the NPL.
I thought you said like Balefrost is going to run over and punch me if you heard it or something. Oh, yeah, say that to his face, coward. Oh, yeah, I know.
But, I mean, Balefrost looks to be the most intimidating person. He's just going to run around and punch everybody all the time. So circle does pop up. It's pretty centered, so.
Vanilla circle.
Yeah, okay. It's got a little bit of military base island inside
well,
of
if
it,
you're Genesis, you're feeling good. I mean, that's likely we won't see this one shift to the south to the military base unless the next circle after this one goes south. But unless so for Genesis, they're not going to have any pressure coming from the northern side, considering the plane path, unless someone does some wide sweeping rotates. So Genesis hoping and praying that they get another good game here.
To be fair, this is a good circle for most of these teams off of the plane path. So everybody that would normally stretch way up towards the north doesn't have to worry about it now. They can just carve out their little loot location that they want to have right now. That does mean a lot of these teams are playing back down towards military base. You can see Space Station, Endemic, Wildcard, Zenith, all down on military base, which is lucky to sometimes have one team go down there on a drop.
And looking at the damage stats, Lazarus still topping the charts. 3,000 point lead, well, roughly 3,000 point lead on the next place team behind them, which is E United. Sonics there as well, being driven by Tiggleton, who has surpassed, at least at this stage, of the 10,000 damage mark, which is pretty insane for a solo player carrying almost half the damage weight for his team.
A little interesting skirmish that's happening during the looting phase. We don't tend to see a lot of that inside of competitive PUBG, but Endemic and Space Station Gaming did land down next towards each other. Endemic does have the inside track on the circle, but Space Station Gaming trying to get this res off with J-Sync. This has taken quite a while back over here, so that's going to be a lot of time that's going to cut in towards their looting. That always ends up happening at this stage, but low-key also getting into a little bit of a skirmish with Wildcard.
Yeah, there's a couple of downs on Wildcard. Going to be flushes here with the Micro Uzi. This is the only time we see these things, at least in this meta, until the SMG patch comes in. But we had a couple of VSS kills this phase. We see the Micro Uzi. I don't think we've seen the Tommy gun yet, but Penta, he's going to be returning back onto Pax, who got a little bit greedy now wide in the open, and he's going to get flushed out, and that is questionable, I suppose, for Pax to run out like that. They got to know Wildcard's close by.
This is very, very chaotic of a start. It's not like everybody's still trying to settle into their logic point. Low-key separating out across multiple different areas now, kind of separated out, as we do have one, or is it one or two members? I think it's just one member of Wildcard that's up on the top of that radio tower.
Honestly, to be fair, if you're PAX, you're probably not expecting someone to be looting on the top of the radio tower there, on the observatory. So
well, they just killed one of the members from Wildcard.
Well, yeah, but it was on a vehicle.
Be around.
It was on a vehicle drop, and you probably wouldn't expect to have someone up there with a mini. Or so anyway, 1 for 1 there, at least, or 2 for 2, or 2 for 1, I should say, for Wildcard, who did lose 2. Low-key did lose 1. I'm going to need a notepad, maybe a calculator down here at the caster desk, please.
On a related note, Space Station Gaming did manage to separate out away from Endemic, making their way back around the southern part of that island. And E United found themselves around Potato Mountain over here, looking around, seeing if they've got anything, but they've got a nice control point to play from. One thing I would like to note is, if we can get the map real quick, is we do have a little bit of a tail end that's happening with Genesis. Look, K-Mine's taking a little bit longer in the looting phase than we would normally see, as Genesis is already on the move and starting to get pretty good distance away from him.
This is typical of early rotating teams, Genesis being the fastest rotating team in the league most of the time, so K-Mine is likely going to be collecting that extra gear. And I actually found out the last Erangel game where they left H-Win behind he was the pack mule. He was saying, I had all the scopes, I had all the extra meds, I had everything, and they ended up leaving him behind. So hopefully not the case here, as Profi. I think they're going to go for a 2-2, maybe come back to the barns, allow K-Mine to come over and split. And if they get a northern shift or a very southern shift, they will be set up quite well. So this is good decision-making, well played from Genesis so far for map control.
I just feel bad. Imagine being the team player that's running with all the scopes and you're the guy that dies because all your teammates leave you.
In a boat?
Yeah, I know. You're sitting there like, okay, well, all these scopes come with me now. Ha! But it's going to be a little bit more troubles coming out. Loki losing another member. It's going to be Endemic already across the bridge, looking around, seeing what's going on. Ghost is back towards the northern part, the bridge, so 2 different bridge camps happening. With the circles that we've seen on Erangel so far, I'm not surprised that we're seeing a couple of teams already opt into saying, okay, let's just go ahead and hold the bridge just in case.
Absolutely, and for Endemic, they did have to flex out of their normal loot spot. And they did get an early game kill, a team that we don't see active often in the early game, but
I see the vehicle.
It's flipped over.
Somebody's having some driving problems.
You used to be able to nade those things back over, but no longer the case. So for Crispier and the rest of Endemic, easy peasy, jumping around, looking around.
Almost everybody else is managing to find themselves a nice spot to play inside the circle. So Endemic's on the hunt, kind of looking around, seeing what's going on.
There is literally no one anywhere near them, so that's...
well, I mean, there's Ghost across the other side of the bridge, but I mean, I like the fact that it's a little bit more proactive of a stage. You can see Ghost already like, okay, we've been here a few times before with a circle like this. Let's just go ahead and post up. Now, with the amount of teams that did drop back down towards Novo, if they were paying attention on their Milta drop, that might be why we're seeing this come out so early from them, expecting maybe somebody might have to rotate north.
This is very inside baseball, so excuse me, but I know what you're doing, Rockstar. Don't pretend like I don't. Genesis, the 2-2 split. Player One Esports actually right to the south of them, and even Envy is there as well. So now it's going to be a question of what this next circle does. Genesis is arguably set up the best, but United, they've been, we've wondered if they're going to change up, maybe get a little bit more aggressive. If they note that the Profi and K-Mine compound is only held by 2 players, coming off of that mount is difficult. So I would maybe expect to see United try and get aggressive onto Genesis's single compound.
Well, a lot of splits are starting to come into play in this general area. Genesis just up towards the north of it, but you can see Zenith in between Player One Esports and their 2-2 split right now. Lampalot trying to get a back flank onto this. Kendo's inside the vehicle. This could be a great opportunity for Lampalot, depending on how he chooses to capitalize off of this. You can tell he wants to go for this, but he doesn't want to push too hard. Now everybody is starting to push back his direction. He's starting to lose the ability to choose to take the fight, and it's just coming towards him.
Ditch that SKS. Yeah, I was going to say, get that AR ready because he's only got D-treats. He's ready to go. Kendo's going to get the first barrage. He's going to go down immediately. Here comes the grenade follow-up as per protocol, and that might be good if Patron can't move. Wall Jr. going for the low side flank, and D-treats is going to get Kendo flushed. Another spray, another beautiful shot onto Patron, and Lampalot and D-treats are dismantling these players as Zenith has nowhere to go. Now it's going to be actually a 1v1. Here comes Aguila, the support coming, and Roth has got a bail. Zenith did not win this one.
Roth doesn't have a lot to work with right now. He's trying to figure out, okay, can I at least get this point before I go down? Throws out the grenade. You can see the vehicles rolling back down the hillside as everybody's just trying to crash back down towards this. Shot's going to come out towards Roth. He does get one down, but he's not going to be able to get anything out of it.
Yes, and he will save him. Nice play from Player One Esports as Lampalot and D-treats will do their duty and secure a lot of points for the squad with the help from David and Aguila.
But guess what? Whenever Player One Esports reconvened back together, Riot Squad moved into that complex just down to the south of them, so they had to surrender a little bit of territory to get those kills.
You know what? Shout out to Riot Squad. They've been really impressive this phase, and they're going to open up onto Player One Esports. And this is a team that is very opportunistic. They've been playing smart. And for those of you who don't know, Voxic, a former Knights player, has been here in a coaching role. It hasn't really been talked about a lot, but I wonder what kind of experience he's been bringing to the table for a squad that we didn't have a lot of expectations for. The circles come across, and we're headed all the way east.
Riot Squad has become one of my favorite teams to watch. Just the sheer aggression these guys play with. They're confident. They're never afraid to send it. They'll go for that down. They'll take over these aggressive positions. They're always on the move, trying to find that next point. They want to leave nothing on the table when this phase ends.
Very scrappy. And here comes VZ, a veteran all the way from Oakland. He played on Alliance way back then. He's kind of floated around the league, in and out of contenders, but it seems like they found a formula that works. Lazarus, they found a formula that works, and that's catching people in rotation. That's going to be Tiggleton going down. Big loss for the Sonics.
Lazarus going to be able to pick up one out of this. They've got themselves a nice position, but they do need to move their way back down towards the circle. You can see Sonic still continuing their rotation as well. Vanquish is back along the same path, but it looks like the continued aggression coming out from Riot Squads. They're just continuing to push closer and closer to Player One Esports. Leda is actually right up along that hillside, waiting to capitalize off of it. Does get it down onto Lampalot. Meanwhile, Lazarus is still on the hunt for Sonics.
I was going to say Lampalot was lucky not to get down there, but he did get finished off, and it's going to be Leda getting the finish there, I should say, as Lampalot gets flushed out. That name is actually very difficult to say in a sentence, I have to say.
So now we've got D-Treats off on one angle, and look, is Leda still? No, he's going to go ahead and meet back up with his teammate. Well, I say that, but yeah, okay, he should be fine. He's just kind of circling around. It looks like he's like, hey, is anybody going to shoot at me so that way you can give away your position and I can go kill you now?
Riot Squad moving around, 2 kills already, and they're going to be headed right towards Envy. Oh, that's a straight shot for Moody and Taro, I believe. I actually didn't see the nameplate, going to send it into the river. There goes the buggy.
Oh, nice jump.
Yeah, no doubt. And he actually doesn't fall down the cliff either. That's actually Pride that was with Moody, and they're a lot of eyes on Riot Squad now. Even
Protege.
Oh, hit him with the car. Oh, the jump out!
Nice play coming out of Protege there. He does go down for it, but he at least gets something out of it.
And he got the flush as well. So this is, this is kind of Riot Squad's MO, where they'll get scrappy, they'll lose a player or two, and then it'll be like a 2-man squad picking up kills here and there. But that was a high caliber play. He did get the flush onto Penta, so well played, but that did cost them 2.
And keep in mind, they made that push after Leda already had some shots coming after him. Genesis getting caught into a little bit of a skirmish. Looking around, it's going to be Player One Esports. Their woes continue as now they've collapsed right onto the 4-man squad of Genesis. They did manage to make the approach, get into the building, but there's so many people around the outside.
Genesis has to treat this very carefully. Pushing these buildings is difficult. This is not the new Erangel. Those stairwells are narrow. It's difficult to get into these buildings. This is where things can go awry for a team if they don't treat it seriously. K-Mind and H-Win on the outside. They've got a man up front with Profi and Nerf. They just have to treat it slow, make no mistakes here.
A lot of pressure onto this point. Whenever you have somebody that manages to encroach right on top of you, you have to figure out, okay, how do I want to play these angles? You were talking about it, Moses. It's so difficult. You can see the way Player One Esports, anytime they go and they like stem up, they're always finding these little divots that they can hide in to deny grenades doing that much damage to them.
Profi getting some good information there. He's going to jump down one. Got to be very careful. Profi taking some damage. K-Mind's going to step out. They've got him contained, but all their attention is there. And look who's arriving. Space Station Gaming is on the northern side, and this is where things get interesting.
Makes it a little bit harder to hold these outside angles. K-Mind's looking back over here. He might have a shot come over his direction. Have to move into a building to get into a little bit more fortified spot. I gotta say, the Player One Esports are doing such a great job. Taking a couple of shots, getting a little bit more space, slowing down Genesis, who's trying to find the angle to take them down.
Well, I'm not sure what Genesis wants to do here if they're looking at contain. They obviously want to get these guys out of here, but this is a situation where all of their eyes are on this one building. You can see no one's watching anywhere else, and that is allowing SSG to set up on the hilltop and look down this way. They're going to check this compound, and they're going to start popping tires. So now Genesis has to do something. I don't know what it is, but they have to get Player One Esports out of here.
I love this coming up from Space Station Gaming. They hear about what's going on. They're separating across the hillside. They're trying to find different firing angles back over towards this. Even if they can't get the kills, deny the resources, take out the tires, force them to walk on foot so that we can get the kills when the rotation does occur.
I would like to see them maybe use some utility, smoke some of the windows, prevent any peaks on the low side, and bring someone over to Nerf, who's now on the balcony, but he's got no, or does have someone to trade with him there? Yes, he's got one teammate. It's precarious, man. They got to be in position to trade. They're going to commit all 3 here. They're going for it.
This is such a hazardous push up this. You can see Nerf holding the angle going, okay, we can at least make this first breach point. Everybody from Player One Esports playing back in those side rooms, waiting for the push to come out. They're assuming it's going to occur at any given stage. Now we got a little bit of a jump down. Nice. As you can see, Aguila was trying to go for a slide point, but now the shots are starting to come out from the top on this. It's just a continual back and forth. Finally, Genesis does manage to get it together. Profi takes some damage, but Nerf should be able to be res.
I was very, very concerned there for a minute, but Genesis does keep it together, and now they can turn their attention back onto Space Station Gaming. Meanwhile, it's Endemic. They're in a boat for some reason, and they're getting a lot of pressure from Ghost. They're actually trying to make their way across from Military as we see Wildcard go down 14th place.
And it's Leda that takes him down. Remember that push that we saw earlier? Somehow Riot Squad managed to figure out what was going on, reconvene, and push over to where we saw Wildcard at, and now they have control over that peninsula.
By the way, it's Riot Squad on top of where Endemic just landed, so Ghost has got a line on the beach, and it is going to be difficult for... I don't think Endemic can get up any... Maybe there's a little bit, little area they can get up here. I can't recall that area of the map, but For Lazarus, they're on the edge of the zone. This is on the complete other side on the north, where they've got Vanquish rotating on foot just below them.
Looks like they're on the hunt. They seem to be aware that somebody's going to be rotating around here. This is a very popular rotation point for a lot of the teams. Just the rocks, trees provide a lot of cover. But being on foot, Vanquish doesn't want to push up that hillside. They're just going to continue around. So we still have 46 alive at this stage, 13 teams active. But again, there's all these little control points that are being played with that 2-2 split coming out from Envy.
SSG monitoring. They did not get aggro on the compound of Genesis, but I think they did enough damage to their vehicles that'll make it difficult for Genesis to move off from this compound once the circle is going to change, which is going to happen shortly. Fignaldo feeling the pressure, and here's Riot Squad. This was the question mark. Can Endemic get up the cliff face? But now they know.
It's going to be rough for them. I mean, these two members of Riot Squad can definitely hold back a four-man squad trying to make that push up the hillside. You have to assume the circle is going to shift away from here. And yep, now everybody that's down in the canal in a lot of trouble as Mystery is starting to get those sight lines back over towards Endemic.
It's really hard to peek on these rocks because you can kind of fall down up and down these rocks. It's very difficult to try and peek out with a sniper, but Endemic is going to have the same issue. By the way, Fignaldo did find Valiate, and that has been happening so frequently for SSG.
Oh my lord, it's Send It time. Ghost running right alongside E-United. E-United's just a touch ahead of them, is going to be able to make a stop at a building. Ghost actually going to stop next to it, get themselves a little bit of a dip. Sonics is going to be following up right back behind that. Remember, Envy's in a 2-2 split right now, and everybody just bisected right in between it. So Taro and Pat Caps are by themselves.
Yeah, this was a question mark as well. It's a wide split, no vision between the compounds. Very critical nade there, could land right on Tony's lap. It's not gonna do anything there. So Taro's gonna have to back away. And now this is just gonna be a situation where Envy can't really do anything about Sonics now.
One thing to note, as the longer the skirmish stays on, it's going to draw a lot of attention back towards this part of the circle. There's still some dead zones that are inside of it. We still have a couple of the fields that are in play off the outside of Pachinki. But it's going to be Ghost looking back over towards United that has to be so cautious. Remember, Endemic is back on that cliff facing. They're having to play the low ground and having to push back over
towards it. This is going to be pivotal here. There's going to land all around. Well, there's two already. There's going to be more coming. They're all grouped up. More coming. Vegas is putting a red zone down. It's personal. He's going after it. Vegas going for the full team wipe. He's got 3 down. Shrimsy does go down to the back line. Stabs rezzing. Vegas going for it. All 4 down for Vegas.
Vegas just walks up and annihilates E-United there, so they get a little bit more control, a couple of terrain pieces that they can now play, and loot galore at this stage of the game.
Very nice play there. Shrimsy is down. I'm not sure if he's resable. McCoy's by himself on the southern side.
He was holding the different points so that way nobody from E-United can make a peek out there. So great position for that, but remember that Endemic push off to the side of it could be a problem if he doesn't regroup very quickly.
Well, Endemic has made their way off the coast, and they have McCoy there, but now Vegas having, done all this work and Ghost Gaming feeling good, they're in a kind of a precarious position now.
The other 2 members of Envy are now having to deal with Riot Squad, who managed to make a push back over towards them. Moody's got the grenade prep. That's back down towards the low ground area, so Mystery should be fine for that. Leda did take a little bit of damage, but should be able to med up. Envy fighting a 2-front battle right now as they've got Ghost Gaming in between their duos, and they're having to contain this the best they can.
Speaking of containment, Lazarus has got Vanquish completely contained on the northern side. You can see Curdy taking down Fozu at distance, and Tempo Storm is getting interested in this gunfire. Meanwhile, let's figure out what's happening with Riot Squad. They've got 4 kills now, 2 for Leda. Protege had 1 apiece with his down teammate, and Envy is...
They're still looking back over towards that Ghost fight. I mean, they saw the grenades, they saw the kill feed. They know that there's a potential that could happen over there, but they've got Riot Squad right on their doorstep.
They can't do anything. Envy is kind of stuck in these barn positions. It's open on the southern side, so you can't really go south. You're watching south for kills.
Oh, no. We've got
this is it.
Storm. Nice shot right into the dome of Lazarus. So Luke's already down. Lazarus trying to figure out what they're going to do from this point. A little bit of a reposition coming out. You can see Purdy's playing way off, separated away from the rest of the team, as Tempo Storm now starting to move into flank positions around Lazarus to keep them very contained. Luke is the bait, and they're just going to go ahead and start trying to capitalize off of it.
So Purdy's on the flank, well, not a flank defense, but he's on the high side looking for kills. We will see Ghost go down. They do get some points, but 12th is not going to feel good for them, but they really had no choice there. And now for Lazarus, they did lose Luke and the flush from Sharpshot. With Civ and Alo, they can't push the ridge line. Tempo, I think, has the advantage in this situation.
Lazarus has the defensive angles, but Tempo Storm wants the points so terribly badly. Nobody is inside the safe zone at this point, so no surprise. Get a little bit of separation out and figure out how you want to push into the safe zone.
Meanwhile, Finna from Vanquish did take down Sharpshot from Tempo Storm, so that's going to cause some confusion for Tempo. They have to now be mindful of what's behind them. That's going to alleviate the pressure onto Lazarus.
Envy still just trying to figure out what they're going to do off this point. Luckily, their two duos are inside the safe zone. Both of them separated on different parts of the map. But now more and more teams are going to start coming in, taking over those territories, and it's going to be near on impossible for these guys to regroup.
Genesis has moved out of their compound towards Space Station Gaming on the western side of the zone. Meanwhile, Lazarus going back at Tempo Storm. I think Sharky was spotted. No, Purdy didn't see him. And Sharky will two-tap and take down Purdy. And now Zampa's going to get aggro. The quick flush there.
Zampa is back behind the entirety of Lazarus. They have two members up in front of him, and this is just an easy squeeze back behind it. Zampa's trying to get the shot, does get the down onto Unsip, looks back over towards the rocks, and Lazarus is just like that eliminated.
3 kills, not bad for Lazarus, but not the way they want to cap out what's been a great weekend for them. Tempo will get the upper hand, so the first place team takes out the second place team, and here's back with Genesis. We're looking at them looking towards Low Key. I'm not sure if they've spotted any movement yet, but Space Station Gaming has actually moved away from the edge of the zone. So if Genesis can pick up these 2 kills onto Low Key, that's going to be another boost as this 4-man squad tries to make another push off a heavy win.
Just has to be pretty cautious, though, because Riot Squad and Envy have decided that they want to be friends instead of enemies, taking a couple of pot shots at Genesis on the backside of this. So low-key dying very early, and this is going to be very important. Space Station Gaming is still holding down that hilltop just next to them, though. I don't think Space Station Gaming's taken a lot of shots, so it's going to have to be very, very careful on how Genesis makes this approach. You can see Space Station Gaming is lying in wait.
Well, Hetero is there. He might hear footsteps. No shots coming. He does spot some movement. He's going to call that out. Nerf will luckily not get taken down. And now all eyes on Genesis are going to be moving towards where Space Station is. The utility does come out. And now Profi will get a very critical nade onto J-Sank. And now Nerf has got to step over here. He can't be running around in the back line like this. And now it's going to be another nade coming up and over. That'll be confirmed from K-Mind. But they're so worried about Low Key. Yes, absolutely.
Low Key is coming up back behind this. Tempo Storm actually has a sight line onto it as well. Low Key just has an angle back towards Genesis, so they have to move back down in the dip. They can't capitalize off of anything that's going on with Space Station Gaming. It's going to be Tempo Storm that manages to take that away. New circle shifts up, and Genesis is going to have to run right over to where Tempo Storm is at.
In fairness to Nerf, I didn't realize, but there's actually more teams looking at them from the ridgeline, so likely he doesn't want to push that ridgeline, get sniped, but they have to, again, worry about people coming in from behind them, so they're kind of waiting in the bowl, don't want to peek any ridgelines, don't want to peek over and get a headshot, but Low Key is right on their doorstep, and they're worried about it.
On the hunt for this, actually moving away from the safe zone just to make sure that their back is secure. Nice shots coming out from Lopes. Get one, balls up, gets 2, capitalize, gets 3. Lots of damage back over towards Genesis, though, as everybody is just crawling back down the side of this. Enough time, but you can see the blue zone's going to be coming in just a second. Pride does go down as Moody's just trying to get away from Riot Squad and make it over towards the safe zone, but it's going to be a dangerous path.
That was so close to disaster as Low Key almost wiped out Genesis. They will get the reses, and that's going to be a close one as Rumblers will go down. Endemic getting into it. They've got a nice little busted vehicle fort there on the southern side of the zone.
Moody managed to make it through Sonics, make it around everything that was going over with Endemic, and managed to regroup with the rest of his team. He took a lot of damage, but somehow managed to get away with it. Rumblers now trying to push back over towards Endemic.
They're in trouble.
Holding down that little dip where so many people have already died.
They can't do anything from that position. Rumblers are going to have to hit some nice shots there to try and displace Endemic, who's got a great vehicle for it. Oh, actually, they have Waldo all the way up there. Oh, nice nade. Really nice from Waldo. Maybe that's what they were waiting for. Didn't even notice Waldo there. And they've got the opening onto Endemic, and now they're going to try and flush them all out. And they're, huge.
Riot Squad's walking up, throws down the grenades. They're trying to capitalize off of this. Endemic has nowhere to go. Waldo's just walking up and taking it away.
Look who it is. It's Riot Squad. They've come over the ridge line. They're going to step up into this thing next. They're looking for more. That was a nice push from Rumblers, taking out Endemic. And now it's going to be up to Leda. Nice headshot there. You're going to take down Los. And now it's just Waldo. Leda's got a couple of kills already. Him and Mystery trying to flush another team. Can spot some movement spray, but the fire's there, clouding the vision. Beautiful shots. Mystery will follow up. Rumblers go down to Riot Squad.
Riot Squad at 8 kills already in this game. These guys are performing, but Genesis is coming after them, pushing up the backside of this, and there are so many dead bodies around that location. Distracts Mystery for just a second. Profi capitalizes off of it, trying to get the flush onto it, but Leda Now trying to figure out what is he going to do from this position. He is inside the safe zone, but Genesis is starting to be more on the hunt. Tempo Storm moving across the top of that hill. There is still one member of Space Station Gaming. Well, I say that. There was one member of Space Station Gaming.
And there they go. Tempo Storm picking up the final kill there. Profi smartly looking back up the ridge line. And this is the difference in Profi from the first time I started watching him till now. He's an aggressive player, mechanically a superior player to so many different guys up in this leaderboard, but he's always keeping his head on a swivel.
Can we point out that somehow Finna has managed to survive, creep up into this location where we saw Envy and Sonics both at. Sonics is separating back down towards the south, so that seems to be where all the teams are starting to favor. Envy does have a little bit of a point that they can play off of, but Tempo Storm is just continuing to move around the outside of the safe zone.
This is
hunting
hard
down
now.
if they have any angles for it. Genesis is creeping back on that angle, so different areas that Tempo Storm has already scouted out now could be filled with members of Genesis.
Tempo, I think, is in a better position. Look how much space they have. Like, no one's in the zone but Tempo right now, just to point that out. But it's the issue now of the compound with Envy and Sonics, who are now rotated out. But Genesis has to figure out how they want to move across and maybe deal with Tempo. But they're looking down the lane, waiting for Sonics.
He manages to get one, takes down Moody, goes for the flush as well, but that gives away his position. The rest of the Envy is going to start coming after him. Sonics as well. There's not a lot of separation through here. He's not inside the safe zone, so going to opt out. Throw a smoke, try to get a little bit more space, but that stops Envy dead in their tracks.
And this is a nice play from Sonics to rotate out. They will finally take down Leda. Another terrific game from Riot Squad. It's kind of their MO. They get 7 kills in like a 6th place, and now Genesis have heard this. They want to step up into Sonics. They want some more kills. Nerf steps up. The nade comes across. H1 takes down Tony. Nerf in the foreground. Count gets it down onto Keenan. He's forced into the prone position. Nerf's got to step up. Profi's there to help him, and Genesis coming alive now.
Interesting positionings coming out from the last remaining member of Sonics. Going to get spotted out
baby,
Gets
there
a little
it
bit
is.
of damage off, and there you go. Sonics are now down and out. So Finn is still listening on the backside of that, figuring out where he wants to go. Tempo Storm was trying to capitalize off that, move back down the hillside, but really you can see Finna is just not letting Envy participate in any of this in-game circle fights, and they're starting to lose more and more control over this area.
And they've waited a long time, too, Matt. The circle's literally on their doorstep. Finna, his squad's been dead for a long time, and now he's found himself into the top 5. Vanquish has had a nice day today so far.
Listen for the footsteps the moment the push comes across. There you go. Taro capitalizing off of that perfectly. Now getting that space that they needed. With all the firefights that were happening, all the death and destruction over there, Envy actually has a pretty safe spot, but Genesis is looking their direction after hearing that firefight.
And it's smart for them to rotate that way, because they're going to know if they're flushing guys over here, that means there's maybe 1 or 2 players. Maybe we can take a straight-up team fight, not get third-partied. Genesis is coming alive, and this is a very smart play from a team that we've been waiting to see this rebound, and that win has propelled their confidence skyrocketing.
Tempo Storm sitting on a very good amount of kills right now. Genesis as well. Envy's only managed to net 1 themselves at this point, but Genesis is still on the hunt to one side of it. Envy's finding themselves sandwiched between both teams. Let's go ahead and listen to the comms from Tempo Storm.
I don't know if you should I think we want them to fight.
Yeah, you do. You don't want to engage.
Dude, I kind of want to cut straight east, bro.
I like it, Sharky. I like it.
Can I go straight east?
Yes, that tree's good. It's in a low ground. It's perfect. And dead center.
They're not trading at all, though. They're trading now?
1v3.
One's going to be further
I
south.
can go hard north. Yeah, do it. Fuck it.
One's going to be further south, Luke. One's going to be further south.
You're just going to fight MV, Zampo.
Oh, fuck.
Open up real quick on the bridge. Yep, one south.
Don't go anymore. At the rock.
I can see a gen. I'm with you, Sharky. I'm with you. I knocked him. Nice.
One up.
Right there,
1v1. 2 solos.
I got my flush.
I'm coming back towards you.
Wrap this shit with me, dude.
I'm coming back towards you. Led. 3v1v1. Yes. All solos.
Go. Easy.
I'm far.
Nice, good job.
Last solo.
Stick your res.
He's on the rock in front of me.
Okay,
going over
nice
to
Bro, let's go.
And there, just like that, Tempo out of nowhere, 12-kill win. They allowed Genesis to commit completely to the Envy fight. And even though Genesis was getting kills, Tempo was laying in wait, and surprise, the trap shuts. They steal the game.
Tempo Storm had about